regular meeting agenda to order. Clerk, would you like to take roll call?
Sure. Counselor Borderline?
Here.
Gajewski?
Present.
Jones?
Present.
McBride?
He is unable to attend, but he may arrive later on in the meeting.
Okay. Merritt?
Here.
Parker?
Here.
Pacino?
Here.
Rusk?
Here.
And Mayor Franco.
Here.
Okay.
Okay, we will do a salute to the flag. We will go to public hearing. We had 2024-332-5 of late ordinance revision public hearing, but that has been postponed. And we will move on to receipt of citizens' petitions, comments, and concerns. This is the portion of the council agenda where the council welcomes comments from the public. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or as directed by the mayor. And if possible, submit written comments. Presentations should be related to matters pertinent to Groton. Town councilors will only ask questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation. All presentations shall be made from the lectern and should include the speaker's name and address for the record. Up first is Tom Olson. Good evening.
Thomas Olson, 188 Crosswinds Drive. I come in wearing 3 hats tonight. First is the Vice President for the Tri-Town Trail. We're here to support the action that you're in front of you this evening in regard to acceptance of the Recreational Trails Grant for Parks and Rec. The COP parcel is a portion of the Tri-Town Trail, and we fully support the actions that the Parks and Recs are moving forward and request that you do the same. Secondly, also at the COP Park on September 13th, I was notified today that at 10 o'clock in the morning, there's going to be a soundscape community demonstration just to provide access, to increased access to the COP Park for visually impaired individuals. Next, in my Conservation Commission hat, on the 24th, I believe the Conservation Commission will be coming before you as a COW to take a look at the open space agenda item that you have as one of your priorities. I will not personally be able to be in that meeting, but Larry Dunn and I are working very closely to prepare the presentation for you so you have a complete picture and to also address the concerns that a lot of you have addressed to me personally in regard to District 4. And lastly, in my hat, with the Complete Streets Committee, I just put a chair out for the workshop that will be held as a community center on the 18th at 6:30, and looking for participation throughout the community support and get the additional last bits of information in, and also presentation on what the priorities are with the Complete Streets and how that's all wrapping up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Up next, we have Mary Ellen Furlong.
Good evening, town councilors. I cannot say I'm delighted to be here again tonight, but my name is Mary Ellen Furlong, 57 Fishtown Lane, Mystic, Connecticut, 06355. Not long ago, the town council mayoralty was a largely ceremonial post held by the councilor who won the most votes in the preceding election. This has not been the case for the past several years, and certainly not the last 2 elections. What we have seen is increasing power devolving to the mayor in the form of rules changes that are similar to Robert's rules, but tilted toward the mayor's power. Agendas are set by the mayor and the town manager with little other input. The rule changes are not being conducted in the sunlight but done quietly. I propose that the council hold a special meeting to explore this matter much more deeply than has been done. We seem to be sliding toward a strong mayor system, which is not provided for in our charter. Any charter revision requires a referendum so the town voters can have a say. Why does the mayor now call for so many decorum recesses? And how are they any different from the frequent recesses we have seen since she has become mayor? The new rules regarding executive sessions are draconian, unenforceable, and they're a gag order. What happened during previous executive sessions brought us the oral school fiasco, the data center, and now our not-so-brilliant appeal of the FOIC, who found against the town of Groton. Oh, this is all published in the legal filings. No one has to get any information from any counselor. This is costing the town money every single time. And I would ask again, how many lawsuits do we have against the town at this time? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak?
My name is Ian Thomas, 24 Jefferson Drive, and I am, full disclosure, a member of the Board of Education and also the spouse of Councilor Bordelon. But I'm here speaking as a private citizen, concerned resident, mostly in regards to the proposed rule changes that have been out there and are coming up for a vote tonight. It's an astounding, in these rules, it's just an astounding lack of any sense of equity or due process attached to these rule changes. For the decorum recesses, as they've been phrased, and the road to ejecting a counselor from the meeting, it is radically unclear as to what constitutes a decorum violation. It's left up to the accuser, the mayor, and the majority of the council. There's no legal definition, and there's no legal impact. It's just an opinion, and it's an opinion of the majority that has already demonstrated extreme hostility towards one particular counselor, and a mayor that's demonstrated extreme hostility towards one particular counselor in the form of not assigning Councilor Bordelon to any standing committee of the council. You know, the rules as they're written, there's, you know, just because a majority votes to penalize a counselor, it doesn't make it legally binding in any way. Like I said, it's just the opinion of the majority. And the rejection of an appeal, or nobody seconding that appeal, doesn't lend any more validity to the vote of the majority. And again, the majority of this council has demonstrated some hostility towards Councilor Bordelon, dating back to 2021, and the attempt to exile her off the council then, that resulted in a primary, where in fact the community reaffirmed their confidence in Councilor Bordelon. The executive session rule changes are even more absurd. There's no clear method to fairly adjudicate the rules. Essentially, any given counselor could find themselves ejected from any given executive session and possibly prohibited from participating in any future executive session based only on an accusation by another counselor and a declaration by the mayor. Again, what's the due process there? What's the manner of appeal? How could someone plead their case? One counselor could just accuse the other of saying that they disclosed sensitive information. But how is that going to be adjudicated? How is someone able to stand up for their rights, saying, no, I am innocent of that charge? Have you thought about that? And the requirement to appear in person for executive sessions, only for the counselors, not for town staff, not for the attorney. Again, where's the equity? Where's the even playing field? Why are you held to a different standard? What's the outcome? What's the purpose? Counselor Pacino, during the Rules and Procedures Committee meeting last week, admitted publicly that, you know, he participated in an executive session while he was in Disneyland on a phone in public. That was your own poor judgment, sir. That was your own choice. And now you're creating a rule based around that for the whole council. That's absurd. Like, why is he not being held, you know, liable for his own actions? You know, everyone understands the rules of executive session. And, you know, it's speaking for, you know, my wife and myself, you know, both being on, you know, bodies that have executive sessions, when we're in our homes and there's an executive session for one body or the other, we separate like, go to different floors of the house, have headphones on, secure the doors, like, you know, we sequester ourselves so that there is no danger of cross-pollination or disclosure of information. Like, the responsibility is on the elected individual. And if that's not handled properly, well, then that's up to that individual to be held accountable. And technically, like, you know, so it, you know, by disclosing that information, did he violate the other rule of disclosing information from an executive session? So is the mayor going to hold him accountable for that? We'll find out. So that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to share during citizens' comments? Okay, seeing nobody else, we will be moving on to our consent calendar. So the way it's written, we have the various appointments and reappointments in here. That actually should be taken up individually, so we shall, how about we move the consent calendar with the trust fund and the minutes together? Councilor Parker, would you like to take that?
Make a motion. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve the special trust fund contributions for September as well as the August 6th, 2024 meeting minutes.
Second, Jones?
Moved by Parker, seconded by Jones. Are there any comments, changes that anybody would like to put out for the minutes? Councilor Bordelon?
No, I just want to thank all the folks who donate. And obviously, there's a whole list here, but I think it's just really appreciated. As we start to move into the winter months and things like that, I mean, people are struggling all year round. And I think it's great when we see folks and different community members or clubs, you know, think of the town when they don't have to and they choose to. So I think it's very nice.
Okay, seeing no more comments, we'll take a vote. On the consent calendar, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Abstentions? I mean,
And make-
what was that? I'm sorry.
Point of information, if I may. Are we doing you said the whole consent, are you saying the consent calendar or the trust funds? Now I'm confused.
The consent calendar that was motioned by Councilor Parker was for the special trust funds and the minutes? Is that correct? You did pass the
Yes,
as
but I
well?
was good, point of information.
Yes.
I was gonna, well, question for you, Mayor. I was gonna ask you to say it that way, that the two agenda items we approved under the consent calendar is, because it sounds like we are approving the whole consent calendar.
Right. The motion that you made, thank you very much. Because as I had stated, we are taking out personal appointments and doing those separately. All right, so we're still under a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I'm abstaining to the minutes section, but it's not broken out, so.
All right. That passes 7-0 to 1. Now we're on to 2024-755-1, various appointments and reappointments. Counselor Jones, would you like to take that?
Okay. Do you want me to
Page 4,
read the
the
entire thing?
resolution, that's fine, yes.
Okay. 2024-755, various appointments and reappointments. Resolution making the following appointments, reappointments to authorized agencies, authorities, boards, commissions, and committees. Resolved that the town council appoint the following individuals to the authorized ABCs as noted. Thomas Manning, reappointed to the Zoning Board of Appeals as a full member with a term expiring 12/31/2028. Natalie Billings and Marie Levinson, reappointed to the Community Development and Advisory Committee as full members with terms expiring 02/07/2027. And Matthew Lettrich, appointed to the Harbor Management Commission from an alternating member to a full member with term expiring 9/1/2026. So moved.
Moved by Jones, seconded by Rusk. All right, any comments? Counselor Bordelon?
I just had a question. Historic District Commission had someone resign from the meeting I watched. Is there a reason that didn't make it this time?
It
or-
has not come to the appointments committee yet.
Okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't missed. Thank you.
All right, seeing no more comments, we will take a vote. On 2024-755-1, various appointments and reappointments. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 8-0 to 0. All right, communication and reports. Other than committee reports, Counselor Merritt, do you have anything you would like to share during communication and reports?
Yes, I have a referral. I'd like to make this a referral of the Little League field on South Road, Calvin Burrows Field, is in dire need of a scoreboard. And I think we should bring it up to the standards of the other scoreboards we have in town. And I have a quote here. One quote is $4,105.82 for a scoreboard that's digital, electronic, whatever is needed. This is our best Little League field in the town, very first one, I believe. And I think there is other things needed, but right now, I think a scoreboard is important.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Are you all set?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Counselor Bordelon?
Thank you. First, I just want to excuse my absence as far as being in person. I was virtual, which was a great deal to do, as I was moving my son into college up in Maine. So I'm surprised I had Wi-Fi, how far we were out. But it was a very exciting time and very proud mother. I know it's definitely awesome that we have the ROTC program in the high school, which has opened up other doors and avenues, and I'm excited to see where that goes in our community. So just very proud to, have my son representing Groton up at Maine Maritime Academy, and one of the first ones to graduate from the Fitch program with a full ride for ROTC. So that's just, again, very proud. Also, I am, I've been attending some of the Board of Ed meetings virtually, also attended the Rules Committee meeting, received some comments about rules and rules changes, people that are concerned about how the process is being rolled out, the inequity, as it was stated tonight as well. Some questions asking what's going on with our open properties in our community, what's our plan, and that's about all I have right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Pacino?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have nothing to pass tonight.
Thank you. Counselor Rusk?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to start by saying thank you to Town Manager John Burt, Director Reiner, and Paige Brunk for the tours of the closed school buildings. I was able to attend with Counselor Parker and Counselor Jones on the 19th, and we were able to tour Groton Heights, Pleasant Valley, SB Butler, and Claude Chester. And I think our push to as a council to move forward and do something with these buildings, whether it is sell it or whatever the decision is that we decide to do with each building, but move forward with each of these is really important. All of these buildings are showing quite a bit of deterioration in the time that they've been closed. Some of them have been closed much longer than others. Groton Heights has been closed far too long to be still sitting there. But I want to say thank you for allowing us to get in there and see what we're working with. In addition to that, on August 20th, I attended the Personnel and Appointments Committee with Counselor Jones, and that is my report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Jones?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also attended the same tour that Councilor Russ mentioned. We did the Personnel and Appointments meeting last month, and also did the Groton Food Bank with the city and United Way and all the volunteers and the companies that come in to volunteer. So that was terrific. That was done also with Councilor Parker and Councilor Gajewski. And then I just wanted to highlight a notice we got today in our email from our planning department about, it's a program that Groton will now be part of, and it's the Federal Emergency Management Agency Building Resilience Infrastructure and Communities Direct Technical Assistance Program. So it's a program that the town applied for, and congratulations for being in it. Groton is one of 93 communities, territories, and tribal nations selected throughout the nationwide competitive solution, and was one of 8 communities selected in New England. So thanks to our Megan Granado, Sustainability and Resiliency Manager, for participating and getting us involved in that. And by participating in the FEMA BRIC DTA program, will give Groton team 3 years of assistance with FEMA's technical experts and contractors to help us score projects, determine the best grant programs to apply for, develop proposals, and assist with grant implementation. So thank you for that, and thank you for our planning department for looking for opportunities and taking advantage of them.
Thank you. Counselor Gajewski?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As Councilor Jones mentioned, I attended the United Way Food Bank on the 4th Friday of August. Councilor Parker and Councilor Russ as well. And on Wednesday, the 21st, similar to Councilor Russ, Parker, and Jones, Councilor Pacino and I got our tour of the old school buildings. Very fascinating, very enlightening conversation with Director Reiner and Mr. Bronk. About the current state of the buildings. It was very interesting to see the former gun range in the basement of the old S.B. Butler School. As a former student there, I've always wanted to see that, so kind of getting to see it. And it's end of life, but was interesting to say the least. This morning, I attended the Children First Groton meeting. They have finished up with their pop-up story times that were done during the summer with local partnerships. They were such a huge success that they are already excited to start planning for next year, and they're hoping to do multiple more ones. And they're going to have a November Community Cafe. Also, Parks and Rec will be doing a mental health summit thing at the Groton Community Center next Monday, September 9th at 5:30 p.m. But before, there will be an unveiling of a memorial bench for mental health awareness at 4:30 at the boardwalk entrance down on Pequannock Bridge. And then communications regarding the rules changes. I heard a couple people had reached out to me privately indicating that they were supportive of the rules changes, that they appreciated an effort to develop professionalism in our meetings, and anything that may help in that was greatly appreciated, and to keep up the good work. So that's what I heard in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Parker?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I attended the tour, as previously stated. We also attended the school convocation.
I forgot that.
I attended with Councilor Jones and Councilor Gajewski. That was on the 26th. We also had a Rules Committee meeting on 8/26, which will be brought up as a subject for tonight.
Thank you.
And again, thank you, Mr. Burt, Mr. Reiner, Mr. Bronk. So, thank you.
Thank you. I had, taken some actual time for myself in the last 2 weeks, and it's been trying to catch up on some yard work. I also watched a couple of Board of Ed meetings, and I also received many comments from, actually many comments from residents who also were in support of the rules changes. I do want to mention that the council does follow Robert's Rules of Order, and we, as a body of a council, vote on these decisions as a body. Nobody just makes decisions here on their own. It is as a body. And that's what democracy is, and I'm happy that we are participating in that. And I think we'll just move on from there to Clerk of the Council.
Thank you. Okay, the clerk's office will be closed September 19th for our annual Town Clerks Conference. Election Day, November 5th. Early voting will be October 21st through November 3rd. Anyone needing to vote by absentee ballot must file an application with the town clerk. The applications are available calling, visiting the clerk's office, or online on the town's website under Department, Town Clerk Election. That's all I have.
Okay, how about Clerk of the Representative Town Meeting?
Their meeting for August was canceled, and the next one will be September 11 at 7 p.m.
Thank you. Counselor Bordelon?
I just had a question. When is the deadline to apply for absentee ballot?
That would be,
Or when is it, it's open now? And
oh yes,
Yeah.
it's open. We've
And-
already handed out.
Yeah, I just want to get it out there because I know there's a lot of students that are away, and parents are trying to help coordinate college kids to make sure they can vote, so, and one of the questions someone asked me, and I haven't looked it up yet, I'm sure it's on the Connecticut, but when is the deadline to apply?
I'll have to check for you, honestly. Mhm.
And is that on our website as
It
well?
is.
It is on, okay.
And the link is there for them to be able to do it right there, and we'll get it
Okay.
that very next morning.
Right on our town page or the clerk's page?
The clerk.
Okay.
So you go to the town page,
Yeah.
go on the town clerk
Yeah.
election, and it'll be there.
And is there any, because not everybody like finds our town website to be user-friendly, is there any push to put on the town actual like Facebook and social medias, because that's where our youth go, talking about early voting and absentee ballots and deadlines? Has any of that been posted yet?
Not that I'm aware of on Facebook. Everything's on the,
Okay. I guess
Page.
through the mayor to the town manager, is that something that we can get up? Because early voting is still kind of new, just
Yeah,
like
that would be-
copying and pasting, you don't have to change language or create.
That would be for the
Just-
clerk's office, though, yes. It'd be
I'm sorry?
easy to- The clerk's office should put a request in IT. The
Into
clerk's
IT.
office, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I just think it'd be helpful to kind of capture those youth on the social media pages if we can, so, thank
I'll
you,
put it tomorrow.
thank you.
Okay. Next is the Town Manager.
Good evening.
Good evening.
For Counselor Merritt's Calvin Burrows request, I assume that should go via email to you and me. Is that correct?
Yes, can we put it into an email?
Yeah, you want me to put it in?
Is that possible?
Yeah.
Just to have a discussion?
Could you send me, Counselor, could you send me the proposal you have for the price? And then, of course, we have a process we have to go through. We'll probably have to solicit most likely 2 or 3 bids, so we'll have to go through that. But I will send something out, though. Cannabis taxes, if you recall, there is a tax that goes locally from cannabis sales. Through FYE '24, we received about 153,000. And if you recall, 100,000 of that, up to 75% of the total received goes to Community Speaks Out. That has been issued to them, leaving, so they did receive a check for 100,000, and that leaves $53,250 in the fund. Nothing, I don't believe there was any thing earmarked for that. Some community presentations coming up. There'll be a community presentation on a tree management plan at Thrive on September 17th. Time is tentative. It's tentatively 6:15, but that part could change. The 18th, the day after, also at Thrive, is the Bike Pedestrian Master Plan presentation, tentatively at 6. That's still waiting to be set. And on September 26th, Athletic Fields Task Force Community Presentation at Thrive, also tentatively at 6. Let's see. Public Works finally found a town engineer after 2 years, so good news. So Greg will have, he'll be busy, but not quite as rushed as he has been, so we can catch up on some stuff, hopefully. Though we are without a town surveyor now, so we're looking for, there's always something. So we're looking for that right now. Let's see, if you remember, the Public Safety Committee was looking at an ATV ordinance. Chief Fasaro did submit that to the London Supervisory Assistant State Attorney for review to see if they had any comment. We're waiting on comment back. If you may have saw this weekend, there was multiple attempted takeovers in Berlin that the state police stopped, so those things are still happening. The chief also reached out to DOT, Department of Transportation, about that Virginia's Court
Virginis.
pedestrian crossing. How do you say it?
Virginis.
He's trying to get the sorry about that. Trying to get the DOT to pay for it. He's laying out the case, so definitely no promises, but we're trying. We also received some complaints about traffic backups and timing of the lighting at 184 where it intersects Pumpkin Hill and Cow Hill. So we've asked DOT to take a look at that. And then you all should have received invitations for the MLK Junior Dinner for October 22nd at Foxwoods. Let Lisa know in my office if you would like a ticket. And the Elks Lodge Annual Law Enforcement Night Celebration is on Friday, October 25th. Same thing, let Lisa know if you'd like a ticket. And I believe that's all I have.
All right, any questions for Tim or Chair? Counselor Rusk?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One quick question. We had discussed some concerns that had floated around about 184 and 117.
Right.
Is there any sort of resolution on that?
I think it was Greg, with the chief and Greg were putting together information. I doubt we'll get anything too quickly. It's,
Okay.
we're talking, it's not gonna be a fast turnaround until they say something, but we have submitted something to ask for them to look at. We had some designs already for adding a left turn lane there. However, the roundabout could be appropriate there, so we've asked them to, as an alternative, also look at a roundabout, though no engineering has been done on that at all, but we have asked.
Thank you.
Counselor Bordelon?
Yes, I had a question. I know last year this came up as well. Someone had reached out to me about Pleasant Valley School not being properly weeded and mowed and trees growing. And again, I guess it's up again. I know last year you said you were having trouble getting staff for it, but it's back up again. And then it kind of in that conversation, folks were speaking about other properties that we own. And so I just wanted to say, if we're gonna be looking at blight, we definitely gotta make sure that we're keeping our grass and trees down below the numbers, you know what I mean? So even, we still own the property, so
Yeah.
people live in that neighborhood and they're not happy. So I just want to relay the message, thanks.
Yeah, and if you recall, those used to be maintained by the schools. Public Works took them over. We have altogether about 260 town properties, so we have to kind of disperse unless we want to start adding more staff. So I will get them out there, but it's kind of jumping from one thing to another.
If I just may finish, I guess the concern they have is it's just not being mowed at all. There's stuff like trees growing, so it's like things around the building, and it just looks
I was there
unkept.
2 weeks ago. I don't remember seeing that there. I seen mowed at the time.
I'm just passing for.
Oh, yeah, I think before the tours, they did everything for all the
Yeah.
schools.
Well, we haven't been
Yeah.
here in 3 weeks, so
Yeah.
probably right before that, the person saw it when it wasn't done. I drove by and it wasn't done, but that was several weeks ago before we had a meeting, so.
And there was also some trees next to Pleasant Valley that were overhanging into the building, so you'll see several trees were cut down that were starting to interfere with the school structure.
Okay, so the cannabis money, the leftover that is remaining will come back to the council for a decision,
Yes.
is that correct?
Yes.
All right, great, thank you. All right, committee of the whole, Mayor Franco. So I also have sent out invitations this past week. We are invited as a council on October 9th to the Community Foundation of Eastern Connecticut. On September 19th is Always Home Appreciation Reception. As was mentioned, the 10:25 is the 2024 Law Enforcement Night at the Elks. Please let Lisa know if you want to attend. 10:22, the MLK Scholarship Trust Fund Annual Dinner. Let Lisa know if you'd like to attend. Tomorrow on 9/4, we are invited to a tour of Eastwood Mobile Home Park. They have received a new mobile home that they are opening up to welcome people to come see, and they're hoping that people will come see what they're all about. And the invitation had been extended also to Planning and Zoning Commission as well as the Economic Development Committee. And today I received a invitation for September 11th, Day of Remembrance, at the Mystic Fire Department. I'll be sending out a request to the council asking for a representation for that day. I believe it's in the morning, and see who would like to represent the council at that. So I will send out an email on that one. Okay, moving on. Personnel and appointments, Chair Jones.
We have already covered everything that was done at personnel appointments, so.
Okay. And let me just ask you very quickly, you're going to be away for the next 3 weeks, correct?
Mhm.
So there won't be a September
won't be a
meeting, is that
September
correct?
meeting, right.
All right, thank you. And then on to rules, Chair Parker.
We will be discussing that's on the agenda for this evening.
Thank you. And then public safety, Chair Rusk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have a tentative meeting scheduled for September 17th to discuss funding for the Mystic River Ambulance and Groton Ambulance Associations. I'm still waiting to hear back from one person, so as soon as that becomes definite, I will let the town manager know.
Okay, sounds good. All right, moving on to new business. 2024-771-1, amending Rule 2D for the 34th Town Council. That's on page 17.
Okay.
And Chair Parker, would you like to take that one as well?
Yeah, I will. Can I do a little background?
Sure.
Okay. This referral was submitted by Council Pacino, and we did have our meeting on 8/26, and this discussion was to have executive sessions in person only to discuss, the reason behind it is to maintain the integrity of executive sessions. We were all in agreement, hence why it's brought forth to the council. All rules that we have done have been forwarded to the attorneys to review and has been authorized and made sure that language was clear when we present this to the council. So everything we've done has been vetted. It is in Robert's rules, as we use that as our part of our rules. And the reason why we don't have it for the other groups is because these are town council rules. This is not for the staff. This is for us 9 counselors to adhere to. Thank you. So, resolution amending rules for the 34th Town Council. Whereas the Town Council meeting on February 6, 2024, the Town Council adopted the 34th Town Council rules and procedures, and whereas at their August 26, 2024 meeting, the Town Council Rules and Procedures Committee recommended changes to the Town Council Rules and Procedures. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Council amends the rules of the 34th Council with the following changes to be effective immediately. I know there's something presented here, but I will be making an amendment. Currently it says to add under Rule 2, Meeting of the Council, Section D, add number 5, all executive sessions will be held in person only. The mayor with a 2/3 of the council can have the capability to waive this rule if deemed appropriate. I so move.
Second.
Moved by Parker. Seconded by Pacino.
Can I take my turn?
Go right ahead.
I'm going to make an amendment. All executive sessions will be held, the following would be added. All executive sessions will be held in person only. The mayor, with a 2/3 vote of the council members present, may waive this rule. I so move.
Second.
Amended by Parker. Seconded by Jones.
Yes. The reason for the change is to make sure we have the majority of the councils that are present at the meeting, and that if there's a situation similar to COVID again, that we may have to have executive session online, hence waiving this rule may come into place this way. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's actually a supermajority, 2/3 present.
Basically.
Yes. Counselor Bordelon?
So first, usually there's something that triggers this. I haven't heard of any executive breaches since I've been on here. All other boards and commissions do it. And the same reasons that a counselor could possibly have somebody walk in a room, a town staff could have the same thing. They're all taxpayers of the town or surrounding towns. So I just find that a little off, that those same things. It was also brought up, 2/3 vote. How are we going to handle someone's HIPAA is my first question. So if someone is out sick that day and wants to submit something because they have a treatment at the doctor's or something perhaps, I have to then wait for 2/3 of you to know all of my business and determine if, in fact, it validates the rule enough for me to zoom in? That doesn't seem right or fair or just. So I don't understand how, without violating someone's personal medical or whatever, so that's my first question, is how is that going to be submitted? If you could pause my time, that's my question to the Rules Committee.
Through the mayor to the chair, do you have an answer for that?
Could I add one thing in real quick, just to mention, that's, HIPAA doesn't apply in that circumstance, just to point that out.
Thank you.
Okay, then, what Mr. Burt just said.
Thank you.
Again, so we have to submit at what time? When, so if you wake up or you say you have treatments or something and you're not feeling well, and you want to submit to be waived to be able to zoom in that day, because you're just not feeling well. How would that process look like?
Typically, when we're going to executive session, you can ask for the vote right then and there.
But you're
when
not
we're
going to be
into it.
here if you're not feeling well.
Well, if you're on Zoom during the whole meeting, before we go into executive session, you're still on Zoom, I would assume.
I just think it's.
You would ask right then and there to waive the executive session rule and ask for the vote.
I think it should be more clear on here as to what is waivable and what is not. I think it's just very blanket, 2/3 vote. I mean, I don't think people should have to plead their case to a council of an elected body that they, the state put this in place because COVID is still around and other people do have illnesses, and we found that zooming in is quite easy to do. In fact, I do it with my own job. I have financials that I'm dealing with, but no one has access to that. It was also stated at the Rules Committee that Councilor Pacino said he zoomed in and he was at Disney, and you could overwhelmingly hear that he was at Disney. And stated, well, then that's a choice that he made to zoom in. So I think leaving it as we're not adults and we can't make that choice, if you can't attend because you don't have a safe space to go to that's not going to impede confidentiality, well, then you either come in or you don't Zoom. You put headphones on, you find a different room or a different location. Sometimes I even leave my house and go somewhere completely different if I had to do that. So I just think it I'm not sure where all this is coming from. It's fine, we can do it. It's just, I just don't think it's fair or just that counselors only are held to that standard but not town staff. It should be across the board. If we're gonna do that, then everyone should have to be in attendance. And the 2/3 vote, I mean, everyone has a right to their personal integrity, privacy, health, and they shouldn't have to ask, hey, I'm not feeling good today. Okay, counselors, do I got a 2/3 majority to allow me to stay Zoom? Really? I mean, wouldn't that just be understood if someone wasn't feeling good? Shouldn't we just put that in there if there's a medical condition that warrants it? Wouldn't that make sense? So I'm just gonna make an amendment to this, that if a counselor states due to an illness, that they are granted that without having to, I mean, because you're not asking for proof here. So if a person's saying they're not feeling well, that should be granted. So that's my amendment, and I think that's fair and equitable.
I don't hear a second on that. Are there any more comments? Councilor Bordelon?
I'll take my next turn since it seems I'm the only one that has the problem with the rules, I guess. Again, these rules that are coming out of nowhere, all of a sudden it's a big problem. I would love to know, was there a breach? Because I definitely wasn't brought in. Did someone leak something that I'm not aware of? Because I wasn't privy to that. I think we have better things that we should be doing with the council's time than constantly trying to change the rules to alter, to target, to do this. You must sit here and act this way or not do this. It's just
Point of order?
It's for me.
Your point of order?
She's basically saying that we're targeting, somebody's being targeted, that we're doing this intentionally, but this is can we just stick to what the amendment is?
I concur, thank you.
So I'm not saying anyone, I'm saying these rules are being made for a reason, or else you wouldn't spend the time on them. So I'm not saying if there's targeting going on, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. So, but there's a reason, because usually people don't just change rules and waste time on that unless there's a reason. So again, I really have trouble with the fact that if someone's not feeling well, and not one of you are up here in agreement that a person should say, hey, I'm not feeling well, and that should be granted. That to me is concerning. And I understand things go through the attorney, but the attorneys have come back before and said, you know what, after further review, we want to correct things. They're human as well. I really think that portion should be looked into. Again, I'm not going to support these. I'm fine with it. I'll obviously comply with it. It's not a big deal. Normally, I'm here for just about every meeting, and don't have a problem with it. The last two, I was away, so, and then this rule came to be, so, thank you. Oh, my last question is, if you don't get a 2/3 vote, then the person has to just log off of Zoom? Is that how we're doing it, or what's the process going to be?
I believe that would be the process.
But town staff could stay on. We're not worried about that breach. Because that's the concern, is that the reasons for doing it this way don't seem equitable. Anybody's spouse, town manager, or anybody, attorney, could have anybody walk in, and the same thing would apply. How come we feel that they're capable of doing it, but we're not, as adults, capable of doing that? That's my concern. So that's my question. What was the decision on that? Why allow town staff? That's my question.
Who are you asking?
Through the mayor to someone from the committee that made the rules.
Chair, through the mayor to the chair, do you have an answer?
I believe I stated that previously.
Thank you.
I mean, there's no answer coming out of it, but again, so we're saying 9 counselors are not held to the same standard as town staff under the same environments, under the same things that could happen. And
I mean, I could answer this for you
I'm
if
being
you'd like.
interrupted. I would like to finish my time, thank you.
Go right ahead.
Thanks. It's not equitable, and it should be. And that is a major concern. The reasons that were given, Councilor Pacino stated at the meeting, the rules meeting, that he didn't feel like if he zoomed in, well, then just don't zoom in. You make those decisions every day. The reasons that a spouse or somebody could walk in, same thing with town staff. So all the reasons can be backed up equally. Again, I ask this council not to move forward with these.
I would like to
not
also
fair.
state your
Thank
time
you.
has expired, but also
Thank
you
you.
can't speak for other counselors and say, trying to reiterate their thoughts and what they were stating at another meeting, so thank you. Counselor Gajewski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My opinion today, society is very hard to admit one's mistakes and make change about that mistake. Councilor Pacino made this referral because he was in a situation that he probably regrets being in that situation. I can't speak for him.
Counselor
but-
Gajewski, I would say,
Yeah.
please don't speak for another counselor.
Thank you, Madam. My apologies, Madam Mayor. But he is there is an initiative to take responsibility and fix what is wrong. And I can applaud that, and I can appreciate that. And in my opinion, if a counselor is sick, I think that could be within reason to suspend the 2/3 vote, but that's why the 2/3 vote is in there, and it makes it an option. And then a question through the mayor to the manager. Town staff is subject to disciplinary action if they do not adhere to the rules of the council / executive session, correct?
Correct, and, and they report to me rather than the council, so.
So these rules changes in regards to town staff of why they're not involved in here is the manager has his methods that has the power based on the charter to do that if he so sees fits. And to provide an example, when I first was appointed to the council last August, the manager and I met in a private meeting in his conference room, and he updated me of the executive session materials that were going on outside the council, so I would be aware if future executive sessions, if a counselor had to miss an executive session, I don't see how that could not be a reasonable solution, as you asked to meet with the town manager, and he provides that information that was missed during that executive session. So, just a solution out there, and I yield back.
Thank you.
Point of
Manager?
information?
Town manager?
What I provided wasn't from an executive session, it's more about stuff going on, not right out of an executive session. I want to give that a little thought.
Okay. My apologies for my misspeaking then. Thank you, Mr.
I would just want to run that by the attorneys.
Manager. Yeah.
Your point of information?
I
Councilor
just had a
Bordelon?
question in regards to what was stated. Aren't we we oversee the town manager, that's what I was asking. So it was asked that he'll handle his town staff, but we are in charge of the town manager. So we could say that they would follow the same rules. That's what I'm trying, that's my
No,
question.
that's not how it works.
But we are the boss of the town manager, is that correct?
I wouldn't say we're the boss
We
of the
oversee his
town manager.
contract, we facilitate, we hire
We-
the
you're-
town manager.
You asked a clarifying question, so
Do
what
we
is your
hire the town manager?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Counselor Parker?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So when this was brought up, when I saw the referral, I was upset because it would affect me coming from certain meetings, especially TVCCA, which I'm at the other end of Norwich trying to come back here. And most of the time I stop in a parking lot and do it, but it's so dark you guys can't see me if I'm in the parking lot, so hence the camera's not on. Also, as a person who has health conditions, and I'll stress the word conditions, there are times I may get online, and if I have to get off and not be executive session, I'm okay with that. As long as Mr. Burt can find out if we can discuss it after the executive session with the attorneys to figure it out so that we know what's going on, or if that individual's out sick, then I'm fine with this referral. I thought it over and it makes perfect sense. If I miss executive session, that's on me. I can't be here. So I'm in favor of it. There's other rules that were changed. Like I said, this has all been vetted, and I want to move forward. I would like to call the question. I can call it.
I don't hear us.
Do I have to second that, or does it have to be seconded?
Do we have to have a time limit before we can call the question? And can we call it in town council? Let me just check real quick. Is it a committee meeting we can only call, or is it in both?
No, it's in both, and it needs a second, and it needs a 2/3 vote.
Just take a moment, I'm looking in our rules that are right in the packet. It would be nice if I was on a computer, I could just search real quick.
Debate, question.
No, it's not debatable.
No, it's a debatable no.
It's
But in
2/3.
ours, is it just for the committee of the whole, or is it for town council as well? And do we have a time limit? that we have to leave it open on the floor.
I just want to check, are we all
Discussion.
brainstorming, or? 'Cause I have-
I'm asking the chair a question, thank you.
No, everyone was talking.
I'm
so
asking the
just
chair a question.
Making sure, because I have the answer.
Madam Mayor, it's in Robert's rules and we can do it. Hence why I called it. And I don't think it has a time limit.
May. If you look under the town council rules, under D, debate decorum, and debate limits of debate, you go to 6, a motion, this is for town council. A motion may be made and seconded after 2 rounds of speaking to call the question and end debate by simple majority.
Oh,
That one's not tied to a number of
that's-
minutes like RTM
So
is.
you have to go through 2 rounds.
That's what it says there.
oh, that's right, I did put that in there.
Which page is it on? I'm sorry.
Page
If anybody-
23.
Page 23 of the council packet.
Number 6.
All right.
You can
So-
also do it under cow per, on page 9 of 11, the, under J, under committee procedures, so you can do it under both after 2 rounds.
All right, thank you.
Second on that,
He did,
Second on what?
on her motion.
She already has a second, but we have to go 2 rounds. We haven't been able to go 2 rounds yet.
I've had my second turn.
I haven't had one.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I'll withdraw. I'll withdraw.
Withdraw your second?
I'll withdraw my second.
Thank you. Are there any more comments? All right, so I wrote down some notes. And I think that what has been communicated to me is that there can be huge consequences, financial consequences for our town with violations of confidentiality from some of our executive sessions. I have heard this over the years and have sat in on executive sessions and known how financially the town could suffer if information did get out that was strategy-based or based on litigation that was upcoming. We cannot, as a council, make rules for the town staff. We make rules for ourselves. We do not make them for the town staff. We can make recommendations to the manager, which are recommendations we cannot direct town staff to do anything. That is actually in the charter, very clearly stated in the charter. I have heard from many people in our community who reached out to me and have said things about people being on Zoom while in executive session, and that they don't think it's a very good idea, and that also I have heard from counselors and other counselors throughout the years that have concerns about confidentiality within executive session and the potential of breaches. And from my own viewpoints, I have seen the potential of where electronics could potentially be used during executive session, and not in a very positive way. So I would support this and have no problems with it. And I think there is an action here that where with 2/3 of the council, of the members present, that they can waive the Zoom and not have to be in person. That there is a way to get around this if there are issues. So, so I will be in favor of this, and I hope that this will put to rest some of the concerns of our community and counselors regarding confidentiality within our executive sessions.
I have a point of information.
Your point of information, your question?
I guess I'm just trying to understand what's the difference if you leak it after you leave a personal meeting?
What's your
You-
clarifying question?
My question is, couldn't it be leaked if you verbally just restate what you heard in a meeting versus being on Zoom? I mean, I'm just trying to understand what the definition of how we're worried that one way can leak and one can't.
You're making a debate.
I'm
I'm
asking
not
a
asking
question.
a very-
My question is, how can one be leaked and not the other?
Point of order.
Your point of order.
The mayor ruled that this was not a point of information, that this was a debate and out of line, and council should suspend.
Thank you.
So can I address my point of information differently then?
What is your point of information?
Do you see an in-person meeting a way of leaking information? It's not bulletproof is what I mean. Is that, I mean, there's glitches in that as well. Is that right?
I'm sure there are, yes.
Okay, so they're about equal. All right, that's what I just trying to understand. Okay, thank you.
Are there any more comments? Okay, we'll take a vote on 2024-771-1, amending Rule 2D for the 34th Town Council. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye?
Abstentions? That passes 7 to 1 to 0. Bordelon opposing.
That's on the amendment.
That's the amendment, correct. And then the final vote on all of it together. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye?
Abstentions? Again, that is 7 to 1 to 0 with Bordelon opposing. All right, up next is Recreation Trails Grant, 2024-688-2. Counselor Gieske, would you like to take that one?
Sorry about that. Council item 2024-688, Recreation Trails Grant. Resolution, Connecticut Recreation Trails Grant. Be it resolved that the town manager, John Burr, on behalf of the town of Groton, may execute any and all documents necessary to satisfy the grant through the State of Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection for the Cott Family Park Trail, accept the grant in the amount of $143,000 and refer the item to RTM per Rule 6.5.3.
Second, Parker?
All right, moved by Gieske, seconded by Parker. Counselor Bordelon?
For me, it's no-brainer as a person who's big with open space, who's used to run a lot of these trails in high school on cross-country, and just so happy to have them. I think it's an asset, and, not much to say here, just thankful that we have these coming in to support our open space and our community. That's it.
Okay, seeing no more hands. We'll take a vote on 2024-688-2. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Passes 8 to 0 to 0. We will now take a recess and begin at 7:34 PM. And we will go into the Town Council Committee of the Whole special meeting. So it's 7:34 PM. We call the Town Council Committee of the Whole special meeting agenda to order. First item of new business, let me just take roll call. We are all present except for Councilor McBride. All right, up first is our new business, is 2024-756, the FY '24 Nuclear Safety Emergency Performance Grant. And Counselor Jones, would you like to lead that one?
Item 2024-756, FY '24 Nuclear Safety Emergency Performance Grant. Motion to recommend a resolution authorizing the town manager or his designee to execute any and all documents and to perform all acts deemed necessary or appropriate to carry out the terms of the grant program. to accept the grant funding in the amount of $70,000 and refer to the RTM per Rule 6.5.3.
Second. Bordelon?
Moved by Jones, seconded by Bordelon. Good evening, Chief Pizarro. Would like to give us a synopsis?
Sure. This is a grant that we apply for annually. It's managed from the Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. It's in relation to the Millstone Nuclear Power Plant, since we're in the emergency planning zone of Millstone, which is the 10-mile radius around Millstone. We're eligible for this grant. There has to be some nexus to response and mitigation should an incident occur there, but we use it for training. This year, we've proposed this grant to upgrade our EOC's Emergency Communication Center. So as you'll recall, last year, we came before you for the same grant. We were able to do some significant upgrades and refurbish our dispatch center as a whole. Next to our Emergency Operations Center in the lower part of the building at the police station, there is a smaller dispatch center. It's meant as a fallback location, but it is also used during an emergency or during exercises. So part of the grant would pay for that. The remainder would be use the funds for an offset of salaries for emergency management.
All right, thank you. Counselor Jones?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you through the mayor, Chief Pizarro, for being here. This actually came up today at Thrive 55 in a conversation. We were wondering, do we test, at the top of Fort Hill, I know there is one of the towers for testing if an emergency did happen. Do we ever test those?
What kind of tower are you talking about?
I think it's the nuclear one. It has the cones on it. The sound.
Are you talking about the sirens? They do get tested. They're managed by, they're monitored. Actually, there's a couple of them that are down, but that's taken care of by Millstone itself.
Okay.
So they monitor those. We do have access to them, but that's in the event of an emergency. They would be activated by Millstone. But they do occasionally get tested.
But it's not a yearly test or something?
No.
They kind of
No.
test them? And that's not part of this at all? That's
No.
a separate thing?
That's managed by them exclusively. And this is for partner agencies and municipalities that are in that zone that need things to upgrade or programs or equipment that might be useful in the event of an emergency.
And just sort of a random question that goes with this. Do you know, when you first move into Groton, the first piece of mail you get is the emergency document? Who manages that?
That's the the Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security within the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection of the state of Connecticut.
So they know when you move into a town?
They do.
They do. It's the first piece of mail you get, so. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Or
Counselor Gieske?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through the mayor, Chief Pizarro, if I'm understanding, this is for the Emergency Operations Center, correct?
Correct.
And also through the mayor, a type of emergency operation would be similar to a hurricane. I'm just thinking of something that we've had in the past, correct?
It could be for a nuclear emergency. Obviously, this money is used for the Millstone nuclear power plant. But yes, it could be used for anything, any type of emergency, flooding, hurricane, significant snowfalls, some unlikely, either natural or man-made events. Certainly, it would be something that would be available to us. So it's not exclusively used for just Millstone stuff, but we do exercises every year through Millstone.
Thank you, Chief, for pulling out what I was really asking of my question. I don't think I phrased that too well. Thank you for applying for this grant and getting this grant, and I will be in support of it, and I yield back, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. All right, seeing no more hands, we'll take a vote. On 2024-756, FY24 Nuclear Safety Emergency Performance Grant. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 8-0. Up next, 2024-778 Port Security Grant Program. Councilor Rusk, would you like to take that one?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Item 2024-778 Port Security Grant Program Motion to recommend a resolution that the town manager, John Burt, execute any and all paperwork necessary to satisfy and to accept the grant in the amount of $82,824 from the Federal Emergency Management Agency's Port Security Grant Program, PSGP, and to refer the item to RTM per Rule 6.5.3. So moved.
Second, Bordelon?
Moved by Russ, seconded by Bordelon. Would you like to give us a synopsis on this one?
Sure. So this, the Port Security Grant is, as since similar, but not the same type of grant that I just spoke to you about. We are part of the New London Maritime Security Group. As part of that, several agencies are involved. Many local police departments, the state of Connecticut's, ENCON Police. Certainly the Coast Guard is kind of the major player in this, but we do receive federal funding through FEMA to support our activities. Back in 2010, the town applied for a grant and received it in order to purchase the boat that we have now, Marine One. Over the course of time, it's been, extensively used. I can tell you that this year it's been used a lot on most weekends, starting back in the spring. It's been very well received. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback, that not just on social media, but to emails and correspondence that I've gotten about having our boat present for the activities in and around our shoreline. Over the course of time, we've had to make repairs and upgrades, and most of that has been partially or fully funded through this grant. This grant is a partially funded grant, meaning that we could get up to $82,000. That would be 80% of the cost of new engines. I can tell you that the two engines on that are the original engines. They are in need of upgrade. We've been maintaining them, but as you know, anything that you use over and over again, it degrades over time and needs to be upgraded. So it's time for it to get new engines. This will pay for the vast majority of that. Potentially the town could be exposed to about $20,000 in cost, but that, and I can share with you what the grant says. Is it says there's a cost share requirement. The non-federal entity, which is the town, can be a cash or a hard match or a third-party in-kind soft match. And there's an explanation of what that means. But, ultimately it means that the bulk of the cost of any engines that would be purchased would be funded under this, and the town would have to match. Obviously, that would be through a competitive bid process. We have gotten some preliminary estimates, which is how we arrived at that $82,000 number, $41,000 per engine. There's two engines on it.
Okay. Any comments? Counselor Gieske.
Through the mayor, thank you again for taking the initiative of applying for this grant and making sure that Marine One is good. I did actually see that out on the water this summer a couple of times, patrolling through the Mystic River and Thames River. My question is, where is Marine One docked?
Spicer's Marine.
Oh. That was my own question. I was just curious what it was. Thank you.
Counselor Rusk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just really a point of clarification. You said the 25% match could come through cash. What else did you say?
Cash or in-kind.
Or in-kind.
And there's, in the guidance here, there's a bit of an explanation of what that in-kind would consist of.
Okay. And have we've received this grant in the past?
We have, yes. Recent years, it's been more geared towards cyber, so we haven't been eligible to apply for it to actually make improvements to our boat. In years, prior, not the last 2 years, but prior to that, we did receive money on a regular basis to make improvements, sustainment grant, upgrade equipment, sonar, radar, that sort of stuff. We've used this grant before, but it's what originally purchased this boat.
Okay. And through the mayor, I never like to approve a grant unless I know where the in-kind donation's coming from. So where are we proposing that comes from this time?
I'll bring that to the attention when we actually, if we're awarded this, or if the town council approves this, what I'll do is we'll get some of those estimates. I'll go to the town manager with those estimates and have a discussion with him. I may be back here looking for some money, or we may try and target some other funds if possible, if there's any available.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Counselor Bordelon.
Thanks. I think we're gonna see a need for more of these over the years, I think, as the waterways and things, the water rescues, what have you with the climate change and flooding. Look what happened out west, in western Connecticut not that long ago, several weeks back, and there's a lot of rescue needed, and they were short boats and rafts and rescue divers and everything. I mean, it was just unbelievable, the amount of people they had to rescue out of homes. How far do we go, or is it just New London County, or do we kind of, if we're available? That's my first question.
No, part of the Maritime Security Group is all around the Port of London, so it goes essentially from, Rhode Island, into Rhode Island waters, Fisher's Island Sound, all the way over to the Connecticut River and just beyond that if necessary. But primarily, though, our boat stays in this area unless there's some significant need.
Right.
In years past, when there's been a maritime security need, we've assisted. For instance, many of you may remember the USS Cole docking over at Fort Trumbull. We did provide some security assistance for that for the Navy. Primarily, it stays in the Thames. From the Thames River to the Mystic River, we could be asked to do mutual aid if necessary, but we keep it pretty close to home.
No, I think it's great, and as we increase as a more of a tourist destination, there's more boaters coming in, more water rescues, fires, people overboard. I mean, there was just, 4 women rescued in Niantic. I don't know if we support it or not, but I know other surrounding towns had to go out there and help to get four people out of the water, so.
You mean Old Saybrook? Is that what you're referring to?
It might be, was it Niantic or Old Saybrook? I just saw
There
that.
was 9 people yesterday in Old Saybrook. That might be what you're referring to.
There were 4 women that were under the influence in Niantic that they rescued too, a week ago. Anyway, it's a need. It's, I think it's very important. What is the cost, do you say, per year that you guys have to manage that boat for the upkeep?
Maintenance itself, obviously fuel expenses, we do regular services over at Spicer's Marine. We're fortunate that we have a lot of folks that have some experience. In fact, one of our Marine unit members, a retired member of the Coast Guard. We do some of it ourselves, but the vast majority are done there. I don't have an exact number I can give you off the top of my head, but there's some maintenance costs. But again, in the past, most of it was paid for under this grant. But because of, FEMA's retargeting and redistributing some of the funds that they're giving out in the last couple of years, it hasn't been directly to support Marine units. Fortunately, this year it is. So that's why we want to take advantage of it while we can.
And is it possible, when that possible in-kind donation or donations needed, that you're able to ask some of the supporting communities that rely on that boat as well to see if they're willing to maybe pitch in on the cost to help, because it's an asset, right?
Yeah, I've never heard of that before. I don't know what the
Okay.
mechanism would be to that. And quite frankly, they're applying for the same grant that we're getting here.
Got it.
In fact, some of them did receive funding under the same grant.
Makes sense. No, I mean, it's a no-brainer for me. I think it's highly needed, and I think we're gonna see the need for more. Up in Maine, we spend a lot of time up there now at the coastal community with the maritime students. A lot of them do internships on some of these rescue boats in the summer that are, either Coast Guard or naval, rescue, and it's pretty intense. They have a lot of the local fire departments in Maine, because they don't have a large community, a population of 800, so they rely on the college students that are trained to come out and ride on these boats and help with water rescues and everything like that. So it's really kind of a community effort, and it's definitely a need. And I can't see how you don't support it. So I definitely think it's important. Thank you.
Councilor Pacino.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And through the mayor, the current engines, are they is there going to be some kind of a core when you
Yeah, obviously that'll be part of the bid process. So the $41,000 we have estimates is just for the outright purchase. There potentially could be, depends on what kind of deal we can strike with whomever we're able to enter into an agreement with. So I imagine there is some value to them. If nothing else, then we'd probably utilize them, if not for a trade, but we may auction them off and get some revenue back to the town. We'll have to get the purchasing agent involved in that, so I don't want to make any assurances or state something that we can't actually do, but the potential is there.
Thank you very much. You answered a lot more than I asked.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Councilor Bordelon.
Another question, just because we're surrounded by water on all sides, we must support the city side. Does the city have their own vessel, or this is the only vessel we
Yeah,
have?
you'd have to ask the city police chief what they do.
I figured you would know if there was support and you had a call.
Yeah, up until recently, I wasn't aware of it, but I understand they may have something
They
available.
may have something. I'll have to ask, because I just figured I'd ask, because anyway, I'm just increasing the need for it. If the city side doesn't have one, it's the only vessel we have.
We're always willing to collaborate and work with others. If there's a need, we'd certainly be there.
But we don't know as of today that if they have an emergency.
Yeah, again,
vessel.
you'd have to ask the city mayor. I'm here to talk about the town police department and give you the information about this particular grant.
Well, my reason is because we're a joint team here, and I just thought, collaboratively, usually, you would know if they had one, and I just was saying, if we don't, God, even more so, we need to get these engine fixed. I mean, if you didn't support it or not, like, very vital, because it's all we have, so.
We'll certainly support any if Stonington, Groton City, Ledyard, any of the surrounding communities need assistance, we'd be happy to provide that, and I'm sure they would reciprocate.
Yeah, I'm not saying they wouldn't, I'm just curious if they had one, so I will find out, I'll send an email to the mayor over there to see if they have a emergency vessel. Because my question is this gonna be enough, is what I'm saying, like, down the road, one vehicle for that whole surrounding area from up to the naval base, all the way to the Mississippi River.
Yeah, we're part of the Marine Group, like I had said before, so we're not the only agency involved. Stonington, other agencies have gotten similar port security grants, but, it's an asset to this community.
Absolutely, and again, it might not be enough down the road, so definitely a question I will email out after I get out of here tonight, see what they have for emergency vehicles, and if not, encourage them to start applying, so, thank you.
You're welcome.
Counselor Parker?
Okay, I'm going to switch hats for a minute. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, the city of Groton does have a dive team and a marine team. And yes, we have a boat, if that's okay to answer.
It's your time.
Okay. Yes, we do. And yes, I think we've probably done some things together anyway, so we'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I don't see any more hands, so, of course, I'm always in favor of grants, so thank you for bringing this forward. I truly appreciate it. So all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Passes 8-0. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
We will,
Motion to adjourn the special meeting?
Second?
moved by Gieske. Seconded by Parker.
Can we take a recess, please?
It is 7:52. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes 8-0. We're going to go back into the town council regular meeting
Can we have a recess?
at 7:52 PM, and we will take a 10-minute break then. All right. We are back from recess at 8:07. We'll continue with our business. 2024-778-1 Port Security Grant Program. Who did we leave off with? Okay, we will go on to, Counselor Pacino, would you like to take that one?
Yes, yes, indeed. Just want me to read the resolve portion on the bottom.
Yeah, that would do.
Okay, let me find my glasses. That's the important part. There you go, there's the words. I move that the town manager, John Burt, may execute any and all paperwork necessary to satisfy and to accept the grant in the amount of $82,824 from the Federal Emergency Management Agency's Port Security Grant Program, PSGP, and to refer them to the RTM per Rule 6.5.3.
All right, moved by Pacino, seconded by Rusk. Any comments? Any comments? Okay. I have a quick one. Mr. Burt, just very quickly, as I said, this was the one, I believe, with the in-kind of cash or town funding kind of thing. It's potential that we can use LoCIP money for this, or CIP fund balance and things of that nature, is that correct?
Not LoCIP.
Not LoCIP?
That was that thing that's for construction.
Okay.
There could be some other funds, as a forfeiture, there's some other potential things out there.
Okay.
So we'll have to see where it goes.
That are outside of our budget, that there could be funds somewhere else. Okay, great, thank you.
No problem,
All right, seeing no other hands, we'll take a vote on 2024-778-1 Port Security Grant Program. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Mr. Burt?
Your
Uh,
mic.
You're on mute. That passes 8-0. All right, up next is 2024-756-1 FY24 Nuclear Safety Emergency Program Grant. This is on page 31. Counselor Merritt, would you like to take that one?
Resolved that the town council authorize town manager John Burt to execute any and all documents and to perform all acts and things deemed necessary or appropriate to carry out the terms of the grant program, to accept the grant in the amount of $70,000 and to refer the item to the RTM per Rule 6.5.3.
Second?
Moved by Merritt, seconded by Borland.
This is for 2024-756.
Yep. Don't see any hands for comments, so I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 8-0. Up next is other business, and this is our 2023-1043-8 open agenda items. Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding our open agenda items?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Bordelon,
Second?
seconded by Jones. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Passes 8-0. It is 8:12 and we are adjourned. Have a good night, everybody.